Hey, this is Dr. Gatapia. Yes, I'm at it once again because unfortunately the COVID virus is still with us and is now about to hit the Kansas City metro area in a bad way. Let's review some things about COVID first. First of all, let's talk about mode of transmission. That means how do we get it from one person to the other? Remember what I said last year, it is aerosolized. That means it is not a droplet, and when you shoot out, it drops automatically to the ground. Aerosolized means if a person sneezes, it'll shoot up in the air and it'll float in the air, and there has been reports that says COVID particulate stays in the air up to 8 hours. The reason that is important is because if someone in an elevator with COVID sneezes and you walk into that elevator, you will be exposed to that particulate. Since they are particulates, you have to look at it like mist and like a misty day. If you walk right through it, if you cross the street during a misty day, you don't get as wet. But if you stay in that mist for 2 hours, you're going to get soaked. You can still get wet, and your face get wet. That puts you at some risk. The other ways of modes of transmission is by contact and by surface. 80% of the transmission is by aerosolized. And a little over 10% is contact, and less than 10% is surface. So we're going to focus basically on the aerosolized transmission, because if you're going to get sick, that is the main method of illness. So let's talk about the rates of infection. If you remember my video last year, I discussed the Alpha variant. It basically says that every day there will be 3 people that will be infected because this one person will infect 2 others. Every 4 days, you'll have you will multiply it by 3. So on day 4, you get 3 people sick. On day 8, which is 4 days later, multiply that by 3. That's 9 people sick. That's the Alpha variant. They're saying that the Delta variant doubles roughly 50% compared to the Alpha variant. What that means is basically, if you do the math, it's roughly it doubles 1 every 3 days. So basically, if you look at here, you got the multiples of 3 days, 0, 3, 6, 9, and here you continue the multiples of 3. The reason that is significant is if you look over here in day 24, you have 729 people sick, whereas over here in day 24, you have 6,561 people sick. Not all those people will be symptomatic or hospitalized. For every 100 people that are infected with COVID, 50% are symptomatic and 20% wind up hospitalized. So basically, out of 700 people, you're looking at basically 10% that will be hospitalized. You're looking at, so 70 people will be hospitalized. If you look at over here, if you apply the same math, in the same day, you're looking at over 600 people hospitalized. There is still a mixture of Delta and Alpha in the community, and I think they're saying it's close to 60% Delta, 40% Alpha, whereas in Springfield they're saying it's 99% Delta. Your numbers will probably be closer to 250 to 300 people after 30 days. That's still significant because eventually that number will continue to grow. Also remember last year when I did a video, we were at almost at day 20 when we flattened the curve. The reason that's significant is because last year Mayor Lucas shut the city down in a lockdown roughly a week after the first person was identified as having COVID in the area. So we did a very good job of flattening the curve last year and keeping the city in lockdown with mask mandates basically help prevent us from running into a crisis. As of right now in Florida, I believe in Orlando, they are averaging 1,000 positive cases a day. And Springfield has already had more people hospitalized at this moment than they did all of any time last year. That's where the numbers are important. The reason that we might be in trouble is because the Delta variant is more contagious. The current numbers in the United States is 97% of the hospitalized patients are people who are unvaccinated. That means 3% of the people that are hospitalized are vaccinated. It affects both the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. And not only that, the vaccinated can still be sick and can still be contagious. Now you can say, well, I won't get sick. No, that's not necessarily true, because there was a study, there was reports from England, from the UK earlier this year that showed that the frail elderly with comorbidities can die from COVID even if they're vaccinated. So don't assume that you are vaccinated and you'll be fine, because if you live with a loved one who is elderly, you can still get them sick and they can still die from it. The longer the variant hangs around, the higher likelihood that the vaccine becomes ineffective. Because in Israel, where the Delta variant has been around for a while, there are reports that shows that it is only 6-7% effective. That means there's a higher rate of people getting sick and infected even with the Pfizer vaccine. That's only with the Pfizer vaccine. I guess the key takeaway from that is when the booster becomes available, if you have had the Pfizer vaccine, you need to go ahead and take it. As far as the Johnson & Johnson, there's no data on it. However, most of the people I know that's been sick or gotten sick that has to be hospitalized right now at this moment are the ones that's gotten the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. If this concerns you, then you should watch my other video that covers the topic of protecting yourselves. The other thing that you need to remember is 99% of those dying right now are unvaccinated. So basically, the data is showing that if you're not vaccinated, you're at a higher risk of dying from COVID compared to if you're vaccinated. These hospitalizations and these deaths are preventable. So that's a quick summary of transmission and infection rate. Protect yourselves and your loved ones.